spark. There we go. Hello, hello. I'm so glad you're here. And what amazing music. Oh. Wow. Thank you. Well, as Reverend Julie said, I'm Maureen Morley, and I'm one of the practitioners here. And I'm covering the talk today because she just got off the ship. And we're going to let her settle and have some fun. So today the topic was love. And I'm going to start with a Bible passage. It's one of my favorite because I just think it speaks to who we are. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so, some people have entertained angels without knowing it. And I think that just speaks to the human of helping and being with that other person and being present with that other person. You never know who you've been to that person or what you've done. And so I love that passage. And my parents raised me with that other famous passage, the Golden Rule. Therefore all things, whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do you even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. Matthew 7:12. My dad always raised us believing, my dad's Quaker, and my mom's Episcopalian, and they raised us with no religion whatsoever in the house. So we had to figure it out. But they taught us the morals and the beliefs and the values. And the Golden Rule was a big one for us. And so I love the Golden Rule, but I love the one about showing that hospitality to strangers, because I grew up in the National Park Service. And it always ended up that your house, if you lived at the park, people would show up at your house. And they would be looking lost or whatever. And we always entertained whoever showed up. My grandparents also were in the Park Service, and they entertained whoever showed up. And they had some really wild times and some really incredible dignitaries in their home. But it was not uncommon for my mother to come downstairs and Walt Disney would be sitting in the living room, or Hannah and Barbera, or Lady Bird Johnson. She used to come save my grandfather's butt a lot because he used to get everybody pissed off because he was an environmentalist and people in Yellowstone weren't. So it's that showing that hospitality. You never know who you're going to be in front of. And I love the fact that even though there's so many religions and there's so many philosophies and cultures, it's the same everywhere. The Baha'i say, and I'm sorry because this did not copyright, lay not on any soul a load that you would not wish to be laid upon you. Pagan is harm ye none as ye would wit. Or there's Sikhism, as thou hast deemed thyself, so deem others. And it's the same across the way. Growing up in the Native American, it was the same type of idea, and it was protecting Mother Earth the way we would protect ourselves and sharing that. So I loved the thought that today was about the love and the coming together of who you want to develop and be. I watched a video the other day, and it touched me in a funny way, but I wanted to show it to you today. This is a rabbi that's talking about fish love. Has anybody seen this video? Okay, well, we're going to play it really quick just so you can kind of see what we're talking about.
He says, oh, you love the fish. That's why you took it out of the water and killed it and boiled it. He said, don't tell me you love the fish. You love yourself. And because the fish tastes good to you, therefore, you took it out of the water and killed it and boiled it. So much of what is love, right, is fish love, right? And so, young couple falls in love. Young man and young woman fall in love. What does that mean? That means that he saw in this woman someone who he felt could provide him with all of his physical and emotional needs. And she thought in this man, somebody she feels that she can write, that was love, right? But each one is looking out for their own needs. Right? It's not love for the other. The other person becomes a vehicle for my gratification. Too much of what is called love is fish love. Right? An external love is not on what I'm going to get, but what I'm going to give. We had an ethicist, Rabbi Dessler, who said, the people make a serious mistake in thinking that you give to those whom you love. And the answer is, the real answer is, you love those to whom you give. And his point is, if I give something to you, I've invested myself in you. Right? And since self-love is a given, everybody loves themselves, now that part of me has become in you, right, there's part of me in you that I love. Right? So true love is a love of giving, not a love of receiving.
I loved that. I loved the profoundness of what is love, the giving or the receiving, and that it is to give. You give to somebody that you truly love because if you give of yourself. And I thought that was, I pondered over it for weeks, and it was funny because I was coming up on this talk, and one of the things that we learn in practitioner training is that whatever you're studying or going to be speaking on comes really clear the week you're going to be giving the talk. So I was really glad that this time it was love. Another time it was discrimination. That one was a hard one. You know, there's been other talks that the topic has really taxed you through the week, but mine was great. But it was really interesting driving down the road and I hear this and I thought, okay, because it kind of seems like the same thing, but yet it's not. And I just loved that point that he makes. And then the second slide, Tony, please. So I loved this one as well. My birthplace is earth, my race is human, my politics is freedom, and my religion is love. Because it's the basis of everything, and it's God. In my book, God is that essence that flows between each and every one of us, every cell, every point of us. In between is that God flow and that love. So, how many of you have been in the presence of great wisdom, enlightened brilliance, overflowing enthusiastic joy, and pure, untainted love in the same room? How many of you have been in the room at children's church? Right? It's so true. And so I'm going to do a shameless plug here right now for the children's church teachers, because as a children's church teacher and working with the teens, you are in the presence of that basic, most pure love all the time. And the most amazing wisdom. We've had little ones in the class. There's one that his name is Sky, and he started coming when he was 3. And he will open his mouth and the most profound statements will come out of it. And you kind of sit there for a second and go, okay, church is over, let's go play. The teacher showed up because he can love in a way that is so easy. Have you ever watched the kids on the playground and one falls down and the rest of them run over and they're wanting to soothe and make sure they're okay? I have to admit, I'm too adult. I see somebody fall down and I want to snicker. You know, you want to go help them, but you're like, oh, that was kind of not graceful. You know, it's honest, but we kind of grow out of that quick, right to the heart, right to the essence of the empathy that a little one will project immediately. And they can jump into it in the blink of an eye. And they can connect with that divine being that they are and that you are, and share it in this amazing moment immediately, where it takes us a little warming up. You know, do I really want to touch them? Do I really want to soothe? You have that kind of, that moment where you kind of gut wrench and is it going to be okay if I reach out and touch that person? As adults, we get lost in that, and kids don't. They're so quick. They're so easy to see it. I also came across something called the Compliment Project. Has anyone seen this? They're doing it in schools and junior highs. Can you go to slide 3, Tony? Please. The Compliment Project was to help kids with their self-esteem as junior high. Has anybody ever remembered when them or their kids went through junior high and they hit that stage that we called it the mud fence? When they ran into that mud fence and they're awkward and they're gangly and they don't know where all their body parts are and they trip. And so it was a kind of at that time of age for kids to be in that moment, for them to be able to kind of get out of it. So one child sits with their back to the whiteboard, and the other children will write on the on the whiteboard compliments and things that they see in that person that are positive attributes. And so that child sits with all these people behind them doing this. And then when they're done, they have to turn around and read all of it aloud and accept it. And it's the accepting that the kids really struggle with, right? They see these beautiful things that people see in them, and it's so hard to accept and to breathe it in. So they do this a lot in the classrooms so that they can teach compliment and accepting of the compliment. And some of the compliments were really pure. For the life of me, I can't believe that you are so smart. I don't know where it came from. And it's true, but he's not saying I don't know why you're smart, but jeeper creeper, why are you so smart? Where did it come from? Another one is, you always say hi to me, even when I don't say it back. It's those simple things that somebody might do that the other child recognizes. And so the Compliment Project has been going on in a number of different schools so that the kids can start to learn how to give that love freely, easily, that acceptance. And they find it so much easier than we do. Our teens have actually done this as a workshop in the teen camp, and they did it with sticky notes. And so you had to wear your brilliance for the rest of the day and project it. And the teens loved it. It was one of their favorite. It was one of Maureen's favorites. My little niece loved that project. Did you know that even though we don't say it or write it, somebody can still feel the compliment and that it affects us energetically? When I was talking about that cell to cell and that essence that flows between it is affected by our thoughts, right? Thoughts create reality. That's part of our philosophy and our teachings. But it physically can affect you. I was going to ask Troy to come up and be my guinea pig.
And she did not tell me what I was.
No.
Just that I have to stand here.
No, he has to be a guinea pig. So how many of you have ever heard of muscle testing? Okay, muscle testing is the idea that we're a battery and that we are our own magnetic, beautiful, brilliant force, right? And you have negative and positive on your body. Top of your arm would be a positive, the bottom of your arm would be negative. Positive and negative for your head and your feet. Muscle testing tests the body and asks it a question. And of course, your body can't lie because it is what it is and it's that essence. Our mind likes to mess with things, but our body can't lie. So we're going to do, you have to take your watch off.
Watch can lie.
I forgot.
Did you take off my ring?
No. Okay, so muscle testing, stand right up here and turn. Okay, which arm do you want to test? This one?
Yep.
Okay, so if we're negative to positive, it's going to be a strong force, right? So pushing his arm down, he doesn't go down. Now turn positive to positive, right? He can't hold it up. So that's how you muscle test your body and see if it's strong and negative, if it reacts to things. So now I need you to cover your ears and turn your back to us. Okay. So now we're gonna send him negative vibes. We're gonna send him things that are not positive. We're gonna tell him he's not good. We're gonna do those kinds of things, and we're gonna send that off to him. And I want you to see his muscle testing with just the negative feelings that we can project. Then we'll fix it, I promise. Okay, honey. I'm sorry, he's my husband if anybody doesn't know. Yeah. I was going to talk about something about undressing him earlier, and I thought that's probably not appropriate from the pulpit. But okay. So we're going to push. Okay, now turn your back and put your arm out this way. Now let's do what we talked about. It'll get a little worse. Got to get a little uglier. Right? Okay.
What are they doing to me?
Turn around. Now I want you to send all of your love, all of your compliments, and your prayers that we clear and cleanse anything that we might have sent his way. If you want to say it out loud, you may. Put your arm up again. And it doesn't move at all. Even out. So even with, you can sit down, thank you. So even with just our presence and that first, when I talked about that gut instinct when we want to snicker when somebody falls or something, that's that gut instinct, that energy still flows and to that person. So it's that shifting in our brain of opening with love, stepping into love, that love is the very first and only thing we experience. And sometimes that takes the morning as you get out of bed and you put your feet on the ground and plant it in love and start from there. I did a seminar with a woman named Terry Norvell, who is a motivational speaker in the apartment industry where I work in my day job. And she did this in a classroom of 150 people. And she pulled an unsuspecting volunteer out of the audience. And she had her stand up, and then she had everybody say something negative or feel something negative toward her, and she couldn't keep her arm up. And she said, okay, so turn around. Everybody gave her praise and sent her good vibes, and she was able to hold it. And then she made her do it to herself. She said, what are you telling yourself when you can't accomplish your next step? What are you telling yourself when you aren't getting the desired results? And it was negative, constantly negative. And she said, so I want you to start saying it out loud in the positive. Reframe it, rephrase it. I love myself. I can do this. I'm excellent. I'm the best leasing agent. I can close any sale. She started having to say it out loud. And it was all of a sudden she had strength. When she got off the stage, and I have to say I knew the volunteer, she worked for me and was not a follower of our philosophy. And when she got off the stage and sat down next to me, she leaned over and she goes, well, that was freaky woo-woo. Gina, it was freaky woo-woo, but it's true. What your thoughts create your reality and create what's going on. And so when we start and we sit in love, it starts to be so much easier. And if you think about as just that essence between the cells that goes on, if we walk this world in that, who do we affect that we walk by that we don't even know? So the next one is the buddy bench. Has anyone heard of the buddy bench? The buddy bench, in the spring of 2013, Christian was in the first grade. There was a possibility that his family was going to be moving to Germany. And then when we were looking at a website for the schools overseas, Christian saw a picture of a special bench in the playground. He asked about it, and he liked what he heard. He thought it would be a really great thing to have on the playground at his current school, the Round Town Elementary. He knew that there were some kids who felt lonely at recess, and he thought that it would put an end to that. He told his teacher and his principal about it, and they thought it was a great idea too. And since it was at the end of the school year, the principal said that he'd look into it over the summer. Well, in the end, Christian didn't move to Germany, so he was able to stay at Round Town Elementary. Sure enough, his principal reached out and let Christian pick out the bench for that fall. After the buddy bench arrived, Christian gave a presentation to the school board and explained it. Before it was placed on the playground, Christian spoke in front of the whole school at a community meeting to explain the buddy bench and to show what it was about. The kids loved it, and they were excited that the bench was on the playground. So there's rules to the buddy bench. You have the buddy bench on the playground, and the kids will go and sit on it if they're feeling lonely. If you see somebody sitting on it, you are expected to step into love and talk to that child, share with that child, invite that child to lunch, whatever's going on, but you're expected to step up and step into it. And they've seen a huge change in any of the children feeling left out. So far, there's over 1,000 buddy benches at elementary schools in America and over 6 different continents. So I loved the thought of the buddy bench, because it truly is putting it out there that right here today, I feel vulnerable. And kids can find it so much easier to say that than we do sometimes. They may not know how to say it, but they can sure show it, and they can share it. And so it's such a great way for them to feel and to learn to be able to be vulnerable in that moment, and that it's okay because there's somebody that loves them and will step into it. So slide 4. Just because you're mad at someone doesn't mean you have to stop loving them. I love this one. That reminds me of my parents. They can bicker like nobody's business. But yeah, Dad would always hold the umbrella for Mom. I realized when I woke up this morning, it's going to be my parents' 60th wedding anniversary this year. 60 years, staring at the same face. I love it. And if you ask my mother to this day, do you have a happy marriage? Oh, heck no. But we have a fun one. And she'll always say that. And it's very true that they may not always have had a happy marriage, but they've always made it fun, and they've always had a good time with adventure. So it's an interesting. And then slide 5, Tony. So your vibe attracts your tribe. I loved that one too, because it just feels like when you do share and you open up and you feel the vulnerable and you step into the space of their vulnerability, you've kind of chosen your tribe. Another reason that we love to come to the center, we've chosen our tribe, and it's wonderful. So kids, as we've talked about, are resilient, and they can go to 0 to 60 in a blink of an eye, and they can tap into that divine, and it always amazes me. My niece Maureen sings. Many of you have heard her sing, and we were talking about it the other day. She's had an interesting experience being a child of ADHD, which I was a non-believer for a little while. I think sometimes we tend to medicate our kids when they're just kids, you know. But she went off of her ADHD medication this year and decided she was going to cope and figure this out. We have seen a light that I had never known was there. It's been amazing. And when she moved in with us when she was 11, she would dance around the dining room and the kitchen on her little tippy toes. And she loved to dance, and it was like this little fairy would be in the kitchen. And she would be teetering around and singing anything and everything. And she has a gorgeous voice. And it had stopped. And she didn't feel the song. And it was devastating. And Troy and I were very concerned about her. Her mom was concerned about her. We were trying to figure this out. So she went off the medication, and she found it. And she has it. So we're driving down the road the other day, and I said to her, "Sweetie Pea, now, do you feel like you're connected? because that was her point to us. I don't want to take my medication because I want to feel present. And I thought, wow, a medication that doesn't make you feel present. Oh. And sure enough, that was her point. That was her feeling. And so I said, so how are you feeling now that you're not on the medication? Do you feel connected and present? She goes, Annie Mo, it kind of feels when I sing certain songs like I can dip down into the divine, and it works. And I thought, oh, what a point. What a beautiful, beautiful talent that you can share. And when you can dip down into the divine, and it works. So she's feeling a whole new passion and love that she hasn't felt for a few years. So our house is full of music. She's in a musical this next week. And I was very embarrassed to say this, and I'm glad she slept in this morning. Because she said, I have a solo this next week in the musical, Annie Mo. And I said, oh, great, honey, what is it from? It's from Waitress. It's the one I've been singing in the shower every night. And I was like, cripes, which one was that? I still don't know, but I will find out this week. Because she sings everything. She sings opera, she sings rock and roll, country, you name it. She's got it going on. One of her favorites is Michael Bublé. She's amazing. So I'm very embarrassed that I don't really know which one it is. But they all were so beautiful. But she serenades us every night with song because she can tap in to the divine and show up with her passion and her talent. So I thought it was amazing that she was in that space. And then can we go to slide 6? This is the one that hit me the most. Sometimes they use us as their example. How do we walk? How do we talk? How do we show up? I think the slide should be reversed. I think I need to walk in her example. I think I need to be the one that can go to 0 and 60 in a blink. Tap into the empathy, tap into the passion and the divine, and it works. Right? When my mother was going through cancer, I bought her a book, and it was called Heart Songs. Has anybody heard of Heart Songs? They were written by Matthew Joseph Thaddeus Stepanek. Everybody called him Matty. Matty found out he had cancer at the age of 3 and started writing poetry because it helped him process it. And he said to his mom one day that it helped other people process love too. So he has a number of books that are out there. And Matty lived from July 17th, 1990, and he passed away from a rare disease on June 22nd, 2004. He wrote a book that was Heart Songs of Love, Heart Songs of Peace, Heart Songs of Patience. And so there's different ones. But the one of peace he wrote after 9/11. And he wanted people to not be afraid. He wanted people to be able to step into the love and feel the peace and the bliss that comes from that. So I'm going to read you Maddie's poem, I Am. And I wish I could do slam poetry because it's kind of a slam poetry one, but I'm not as good as Julie. I am black, I am white, I am all skin in between. I am young, I am old, I am each age that has been. I'm scrawny, I'm well fed. I'm starving for attention. I am famous, I'm cryptic, I'm hardly worth the mention. I'm short, I'm height, I'm any frame or stature. I'm small, I'm challenged, I'm striving for a future. I'm able, I'm weak, I am some strength. I am none, I am being, I am thoughts, I am things said and done. I am born, I am dying, I am dust of humble roots. I am grace, I am pain, I am labor of willed fruits. I am a slave, I am free, I am bonded to my life. I am rich, I am poor, I am wealthy amid strife. I am a shadow, I'm glory. I am hiding from my shame. I am hero, I am loser. I am yearning for the name. I am empty, I am proud. I am seeking my tomorrow. I am growing, I am fading. I am hope amid the sorrow. I am certain, I am doubtful. I am desperate for solutions. I am leader, I am student. I am fate and evolutions. I am spirit, I am voice. I am memories not recalled. I am chance, I am cause. I am effort, blocks and walls. I am him, I am her. I am reasons without rhymes. I am past, I am nearing. I am present in all time. I am many, I am no one. I am seasoned by each being. I am me, I am you. I am soul now decreeing. I am. Sorry. Maddie proudly decreed himself a lover, a poet, and a peacemaker. And I think he really was. He was an amazing kid. So as we move into the week and we release everything that we feel and we step into that love, just know that love is my religion, love is my essence, love is God, and God is love. Thank you.